Welcome to Inspire Campfire, a podcast where ordinary people tell their stories of extraordinary adventure. These are campfire stories meant to inspire the rest of us to light the fire within, get outside, follow our dreams, and return to tell our own stories. Ready? Let's strike the match.
Welcome to the show. I am your host, Scott Wurzbacher, and today we're going to talk about the healing powers of adventure, unexpected connections, and the Casita travel trailer that made it all possible for today's guest. I have with me Steve Paynter, who currently lives here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Steve is retired now, but he spent his career in international sales, which allowed him great opportunities to travel the world. Growing up, Steve's father was in the military, and they moved just about every 2 years. Among other places, Steve has also lived in Pakistan and Ecuador and Singapore. Steve's late wife, Marion, was a flight attendant with Pan Am when they first married, which is fitting considering his love for travel. After her passing, Steve decided to set off in his Casita travel trailer in order to give himself the space to grieve and to heal. And through the adventures with his Casita, he's found a community of like-minded people that he's brought together as the Carolina Casita Facebook group. I am so excited for Steve to share his stories of adventure with his Casita with you all. Steve, welcome to the campfire.
Thank you very much, Scott. Glad to be here.
Oh, I am so excited. You shared the pictures with me of your Casita and some of the adventures that you've been on. And yeah, I mean, it's so cool to see that travel trailer, but I think probably the best thing for us to do is just kick right off. And for people that don't know what a Casita is, can we start there? What is a Casita travel trailer?
Okay. First of all, it's a brand name. A Casita is made by the Casita company, but it's a fiberglass trailer.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the Airstreams that are aluminum.
Mm-hmm.
Casitas are fiberglass. And then you've got the others that are sheet aluminum kind of built with. Casitas are small. They're made for maybe two people or one, but very small, easy to pull with a car, and just get out and get away.
Get out and get away. And so I'm gonna tee you up here because
Okay.
you told me when we the first time we talked, Casita in Spanish is
Little house.
little house.
And that's what these things really are.
Yeah.
They've got a queen size bed, a kitchen with a stove, sink, good sized refrigerator, bathroom with toilet, sink, and shower, dining area. Yet they're only 17 feet long. They're unique, but very, very comfortable.
Yeah. And the Casita is on the kind of the lightweight side of travel trailers.
Right. You can pull it with not a standard car, but a minivan, or not a minivan, SUV. An SUV will pull it easily, or a small pickup.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So this is cool. So we've got this little house. So now let's back up and just talk about you. Can you tell us a little bit about you and who you are and, what you're up to? And then we'll kind of dive into this whole experience that you've, this whole world you've gotten into with the Casita Travel Trailer Group.
Well, as you mentioned before, my dad was military and we traveled, that was the military life. When I got married, I started in international sales and just kept traveling. So travel has been a part of my life, but mostly internationally.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I would take trips, and of course I did my business trips. So two different types of travel completely,
Sure,
of course.
definitely.
But with the pandemic, I saw that international travel was going to be closed for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I bought the trailer in March of 2020.
Okay.
Just as the pandemic was starting up. My wife had already been diagnosed with cancer at that point.
Yeah.
So it was a terminal disease. So I knew there was no good outcome coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I started preparing and I bought the Casita. And when she passed in August, I hadn't taken a trip. I bought it in March and stayed working on it adding solar panels and fixing it up for me the way I wanted it until August when she passed. I hit the road. And it was good. Just a good way to get away and grieve alone. The grieving thing was what really started the travel with it.
Yeah.
And it helped. It really did. I just couldn't imagine sitting at home during the pandemic, not able to get out and go anywhere. With this, I didn't need hotels. I didn't need restaurants. I could just hook up and go. Fill up at self-service gas stations and you're gone, you don't have contact. So I went up to the Southwest. That's where my love was. I went to the University of New Mexico.
Okay.
And I have family in Arizona, Oklahoma, New Mexico. So I love the Southwest. The Four Corners area is just magical.
Mm-hmm,
so the first couple of trips were to that area. And then since then, there was trips before the Carolina Casitas where I was just on my own, and trips after getting involved with the Facebook group.
Yeah.
And they kind of morphed. I still do a little of both, getting off by myself versus looking for company and companionship traveling.
Yeah.
And the latter, of course, is with the group.
Yeah. So I'm curious, I think the thing with this podcast is it's really kind of exploring that sort of voice that calls us to adventure, and
Right.
then some of the fears and doubts and some of the resistance that we experience in getting into that. So I'm kind of curious, just kind of going back to like March 2020 and sort of the lead up to your purchase of this Casita. I mean, your wife had been diagnosed, I understand. And, there's all kinds of different things that you could have, actions that you could have taken or not taken. And so I'm curious, like,
but
why,
I did travel, right?
why the Casita and why this particular experience? Like what was that calling?
Well, it was interesting. Years ago, when I was single, I don't know whether it was college or high school, they had the Road Trek, these vans that were tricked out for camping. I just fell in love with them. I thought they were so cool. And I've always had this urge to do it. My brother had a VW bus, which we
Nice.
camped in,
Yeah.
in the day.
Yeah.
So I've always really enjoyed camping. We did tent camping as a family. And I don't want to sound, I don't know, but I just don't know fear. So why not? Hook them up. I had never driven a trailer before. That didn't matter. Went out and bought one sight unseen. Not unseen. I went out, never having been in one even.
Yeah.
Went out, drove to Louisville, Kentucky from Charlotte, bought it, and came back the same day. And didn't look back. It's been great.
Well, there's like, you kind of painted this picture, the picture that I love. Like, obviously your brother with the VW bus, talk about these road treks, and the Casita itself. I mean, it's got a really iconic vintage look to it. And so there is kind of this image of, what that lifestyle sort of looks like. And it does sort of create this, it's almost like this archetype of this just adventure spirit.
Well, mine especially, I think, looks really cool because it does have all of these solar panels on it.
Mm-hmm.
I can go anywhere. I don't plug in. I try to avoid RV parks. Out in West, you just pull off in national forests and BLM land and go anywhere. And that's what I love.
Yeah.
Last January, I decided it was getting cold and I had nothing planned. So pretty much on spur of the moment, I took out for Baja California, Mexico. And
From Charlotte,
right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Okay.
I took the wrong tow vehicle. I took a good car that got messed up in the process.
Okay.
So
that sounds like a story.
Sure. Yeah, it was a story. But it was a great, it only cost me a couple $1,000 to end it on a good note.
Okay.
But just taking out, not having to plan, I don't need reservations to go anywhere. I just go.
Yeah. So all right. So we've got the Casita. You know, you went through the experience of your wife's diagnosis. She passes in
Mhm.
August, and you hit the road.
Yeah.
So, like, talk to us about that process. Like, was there a
Okay.
plan? Where'd you go? Did you know where you were going?
Well, the first trip was touching base with family,
Mhm.
letting them know that I got through this whole ordeal in one piece and I'm okay. After that, it was exploration. I went up to Montana, Wyoming, Washington State, um, just exploring the Dakotas and no itinerary. I made reservations at Grand Tetons and Glacier because those are places I
Busy.
wanted to go.
Yeah,
Yeah, and busy. So I got reservations there. The rest of it was totally up in the air.
I love
And
it.
I
And you
loved it,
said
by
you
the way.
said touching base with family. So did you go visit family in your Casita?
Yes,
That
yes.
is cool. That is so cool. Like I've always thought about this, this idea of just being so mobile and being able to go see people that you know. Like
Well,
what
it's
a cool
great
adventure.
because I don't go in. I don't stay overnight in their houses. I stay in their driveway with my casita,
Yes.
and it's so much easier for them. They don't have to worry about bathrooms being clean or bedrooms, and yeah, I go to bed, wake up in the morning, that go in after I've had breakfast, and we visit. But it's not a maintenance thing. It's just a visit,
Well,
so it's a lot easier.
and I gotta believe there's like for you, there's sort of a feeling of like I'm not imposing on them and I have
Oh,
my own freedom.
absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not staying at their house, it's visiting them.
Yeah, right.
So
So August, you visited family and you said you kind of I heard sort of the northern part of the US and kind of heading into the
northwest, yeah, headed off to the northwest to start with.
yeah.
Um,
And this was your first big trip with this casita.
right,
Yeah.
right. That was 8,500 miles on that trip.
8,500 miles. Okay. And
Uh,
how long were you gone for that particular trip?
I don't know, maybe a month or so.
Okay.
Yeah, about that. About that.
All right. And then back to Charlotte. And then it was only a couple of months later before you jumped back in and went to Baja.
That's right. That's right. And then it was not long after. No, I'd already gotten involved with Carolina Casitas at that point.
Okay.
Um, so we hadn't gone on any groups on any get-togethers as a group at that time, but I had gotten involved in starting that group. So that
Okay.
was about the beginning of the Carolina Casitas when I went to Baja.
Very cool. Okay. So I want to come back to that. I want to come back
Yeah.
to
Okay.
Carolina Casitas. But let's talk about sort of this healing that you experienced while you were
Mm.
on the road. Can you just talk about and share a little bit about that healing that you experience when you're on the road like that?
Yeah. I didn't want to be around people.
Mhm.
And what better way, to get off and go to Montana in a casita in the back country. So, I really saw no one other than filling station attendants.
Yeah.
Um, it was a long time to just sit and think.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, grieving's a tough one. It's different ways for different folks, I'm sure. But for me, just being able to get away and kind of reshuffle things and see where I am now, where I'm going, what I'm going to do. Because it's a total start over.
Yes.
Total.
Yeah.
Sold house, um, moved into Charlotte. I used to live up in Cornelius.
Okay.
And yeah, I just total reshuffling of the deck and thinking things through.
Yeah, so the solitude, I'm curious about that. I mean, that time to just really reflect and have that time to yourself. Like, how did you make use of that time and what kind of healing like occurred in that space?
That's hard to say, Scott.
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer that. I really don't. Uh,
It's a cool thing because, you know, in grieving, everybody gets to do it their way.
and
And
everybody gets to do it at
yes,
one point or another.
yeah,
And it's so hard, and yet you think back, everyone goes through it.
yeah,
And it's one before I had it, I just had no comprehension of what people went through to really appreciate. I'm much more empathetic now than I ever have been before. Believe me, um, it's a tough road. It's a real tough road, unpaved.
yeah. I love that you said you're much more empathetic now than you were before. I also heard you say a little bit earlier that you said you don't know fear.
Yeah, real high threshold. Um, yeah, I'm not a real planner.
Mhm.
If something goes wrong, it goes wrong, and that's what adventure is. That's being prepared, being confident in yourself that you can handle what comes along.
Yeah,
And the more confident you are, the more, I guess, fearless you become.
absolutely. And you can
And
only get that through experience, right?
you get it through doing it.
Yeah.
And one of, I guess it all started for me in Pakistan.
Mm,
10 years old in a country that was so totally different than anything, ever even imagined as a
mhm.
10-year-old. And seeing the poverty, seeing the differences, and getting out and exploring. My parents just gave us latitude, and my brother and I, he was 2 years older, we just took out and just terrorized the area.
Yeah.
It just kind of got the built up calluses that have carried through my life.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting. I mean, travel, absolutely. Like, especially when you're experiencing different countries, different cultures, it just opens you
Yeah.
up. It just gives you this much broader awareness of the world around us. And what I'm hearing is, I mean, travel is like what you know. And so, like, for you,
That's my career. That has been my career.
yeah,
Traveling. Incidentally, I could sell things while I was on the road, but
yeah.
yeah, it was the travel that made it interesting.
I mean, so I'm curious, like, what I'm kind of hearing is, in a very uncomfortable time where you're grieving and you're healing, like travel actually
I
gives
reverted
you some
back.
comfort, right? Because
Absolutely.
travel, like you actually, for most people, it's very uncertain and it's
Yeah,
very
right.
uncomfortable, but for you, it's comfortable.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Even
How
though I
cool.
hadn't had a lot of experience with trailers, I've driven road trips, and
How
that's
cool.
what I've done. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm curious, like in that first month away, did anything change for you? Did you come back a different person than the person that you were when you left?
No, not really. I really hadn't finished grieving. That wouldn't happen for another year and a half
Yeah.
at best. No, I don't think so. It got me away and got me over that initial
Hmm.
shock
Yep.
of being alone.
Yeah.
Um, and I think by traveling alone, it kind of got me motivated to get involved with that Carolina Casita by, you know, opening it up to others, what I am doing, and inviting others to come do what I'm doing with me. Um, yeah, traveling alone is interesting, but it's not where it's at.
Yep.
It, I always said when I was traveling for business, I might as well have been a dream because I had nobody to share it with.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
Um,
and that's it. And this is where the unexpected connections come in. Like
that's exactly right.
this is so cool. And I think there's a time and a place for both. Like, the time to be alone and to have that reflection, but you know, connection.
It's not a lifelong vocation, traveling alone. No, but there's adventure in it, and I'll do it again, and I will do it again. I'm going down to the Everglades in December for 10 days, and maybe someone will join me, maybe they won't, but I'm going anyway.
I love it. Well, you got a group of people that'll love to do it. So,
well, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. So, so I'm just curious, like, on that month-long initial trip, over the summer, did you have like a time frame? Did you have a set time when you were planning to come home? And if not, like, what was the motivation? Like, was there a moment when you were like, okay, it's time to go back to Charlotte?
Yeah, I had some initial things that I wanted to see and do.
Mm-hmm.
Not an itinerary per se, but a checklist.
Okay.
I did those and a lot of other stuff, and I was starting to get tired of being on the road.
Okay.
So basically that was it. I'd done what I came to do, and I was tired.
Yeah.
Headed back. And same thing with Baja. When I went down to Baja, I was expected to stay much longer than I did. And, it cut short, but hey, that's life. I'll go back and finish it some other time.
Yeah. For both for Baja and the initial trip and all of these, like, where do you experience more fun, more joy, more? Is it the time on the road, or is it the time in the destination?
In the destination. If I'm going to Baja, for example,
okay,
I bolt. I don't smell the roses along the route.
Okay.
I like to get there and get to the point.
Yep.
For me, it's the destination.
You got it. There's a goal in mind.
I've driven across the country so many times. I really don't want to stop again.
Got it.
I'll go right on. And what I do with the Casita, I'll travel, go to a rest area, pull in for the night, have dinner, go to sleep, wake up in the morning, have coffee and breakfast, and you're right on the road again.
Man on a mission. I love it.
On a mission.
Yeah.
Don't get off the road and find a park.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So you checked all the boxes. You did the things that you wanted to do. You came back, and then we start this community. You start this community, the Carolina Casitas. So how does that come about?
Well, it was interesting. There's lots of Facebook groups on Casitas.
Mm-hmm.
And I've met people on those various sites. And one guy started this site, Carolina Casitas. I didn't start it. He started it.
Okay.
And he said, can you help me? This is too much for me. I don't have the time. I don't want to spend all this time doing this.
Yeah.
So I had nothing better to do. I was still grieving and whatnot. And I thought maybe it'd be good for me. So I did. I didn't share the reins. I grabbed the reins from him and off we went.
Man on a mission.
And we started off at that point, 12 people. We're up to 177 members now.
Okay.
These are people in the Carolinas that have a casita or are interested in having one.
Yep.
And the whole idea is to facilitate so people can get out and enjoy their casita.
Yeah.
We list, the members also list casitas for sale in the area. So someone who's looking for one in the group, There they are. We have outings, camping groups where we teach people how to use their casitas, teach them the propane system, how to run the electricity and how it works and how to maintain, how to clean, how to be an owner, how to enjoy your machine. And then we just have get-togethers to enjoy our company, meet each other, and enjoy our company. We have 3 get-togethers a year: spring, summer, and fall.
Cool. Yeah.
And then I or anybody will just go on the group site and say, "Hey, I want to go somewhere. Anybody want to go with me?" And you've met, the people, you've met them at the gatherings we have, and off you go. And it's been really successful. It really has been fun.
So here's what I love about it, because there's so many different Facebook groups, right? Like just social media. I mean, and it's limited to interaction of, liking each other's posts and posting fun information and all that. But like your group is so much more. Like Facebook is the technology that you use to facilitate communication with a broader group of people that are actually getting out and doing stuff together. So, we call this the case Facebook Casita's Facebook group, right? But this really is a community of like real live people that you're actually getting together with and interacting with. And I just think that's so cool.
Well, that's right. Because the thing I keep drumming into people, I want participation. I don't want people just sitting out there reading my posts. That's not what it's about.
Right.
It's about getting together and doing things. Planning together, we'll talk about where we want to go, what we want to do, and what we've done. People go out on their own adventures and, post it on our site, pictures of where they went, what they did.
Yeah. So what are some of the like group experiences that you've had with the folks in this group?
Where have we gone?
Yeah. Places that you've been, connections that you made. Yeah.
Well, first of all, the connections. The people are such a broad range of types, and there's a lot of singles, men and women. I'm surprised how many single women there are traveling around in casitas. It's a lot of strong women out there.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely.
Not afraid to get on the road. It's really, really good to see.
Yeah.
Guys, so I would say it's about 30 in our group. A third of them couples, a third men, and a third women, single. So we've been to the coast. I try to, in the spring, try to get to the beach or to the coast.
Yep.
Summer, someplace where it's cool. I blew it this year, and we're going to sweat. Going to Western South Carolina next week for our summer.
Very cool.
Not next week. It's this Thursday.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then in the fall, for the foliage, we're going up to Stone Mountain up in northern North Carolina.
Yep. Beautiful.
We're talking about next year maybe doing a Virginia creeper camp out where we'll all go bike riding in addition to camping. If you heard of the Virginia creeper, are you familiar with that? Okay. Yep. So I did that this summer, and it was fun. So I threw that out, and there was a lot of interest. So yeah, we're going to do that sometime.
So what is that group experience like? How contrast that with the experience that you had, when you're kind of just traveling solo?
Right. So, oh gosh. Well, first of all, the first gathering that we had, I just invited everybody. We all came together and we sat and looked at each other. And what do we do now? I had planned for no group activities or anything. So next time we designed potluck dinners, swap meets, orientation, teaching people how to use their trailers, activities that get involved in. We're taking kayaks and fishing things to this next one Thursday because it's on the lake system, and it's going to be hot. Get out and cool down maybe.
Yeah, I love it. So when these group experiences, like how many different casitas are typically involved?
They started off fairly small, I think maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And then I had one just for new casita owners. And it was the biggest hit of all. We had even people that are experienced wanted to come to it to share their knowledge to the other people too. So we have had up to 10 trailers, but this one coming up Thursday is the biggest. It'll be 18 trailers there.
I think that's awesome.
28 people or something like that.
Look out. Look out. All the people that are at the campground that you guys are going to, like, look out. You got 18.
Well, we're pretty much dominating the whole campground.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. There'll be a few out there that aren't us, but they better watch out.
Yeah, that's going to be super fun. Yeah. And I have a feeling that this whole thing is really just getting started too. I mean, 5 or 6 people, then 10, and now you got 18. And it's just so cool to see, such a small little niche thing that develop into, and to be able to use something like Facebook, obviously as a medium to like bring all these people together. Like how are the people in this group finding this connection and becoming involved?
Well, a lot of people are talking to friends. The Casita group, the Casita family, if have it as you will. There's a lot of interaction. It's almost like a little cult. These trailers.
They're so cool, though. It's a cool cult.
They really are a cool trailer. If you haven't seen them, you really ought to check it out.
Yeah.
What was the question? I got distracted.
How people get involved in the community.
Yeah,
like how do people find you?
Word of mouth is the main thing. And if I'm in somewhere in Facebook in a Casita site and I see someone from the Carolinas, they're not a group, I'll chat with them and invite them over.
Yeah.
I've done that to a few.
Well, and so another question is like, is this people that already have casitas that go, oh, I want to be part of that? Or
yes,
are you guys
that's pretty much the most?
And so are there people that you're inspiring to go like that? Like, I want one of those. They go get one and then they become part of the group, or maybe they become part of the group and then go get one.
More the latter, because they don't get involved in Casita groups usually without one.
Yeah.
Or unless they want one. To come out of the cold and just be introduced to it is unlikely.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know what a Casita was till you introduced me. And then I went online and looked at the pictures and I'm like, man, I want one of those. Those are super cool.
Did you see inside of them?
Yeah.
I didn't send any inside pictures of mine. Yeah. No.
Yeah. And the thing is, I mean, they're fairly, for an RV travel trailer camper type experience, they're pretty reasonably priced from what I can gather.
Oh yeah. They're not cheap compared to the standard type of mobile camper.
Yep.
They're more expensive than that, but they have a life of 40 years.
Yeah.
They don't fall apart.
Yeah.
It's solid fiberglass, so it's got body to it. So most of the people are interested in Casitas or have them, and I would say that 90% already have them. But there are a few that are in our group that have become acquainted with Casitas and are looking. There's a woman whose husband just now died. She's been a member waiting for him to pass. He's passed, and now she's ready to buy her Casita and move on.
Do you find that's a pretty common story?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've met a lot of people who were widowing, going through the grieving process. It's not unusual at all, I've found.
Yeah. I've been doing this podcast now, for almost 10 months or so. And I definitely have found that so many adventure stories are triggered by some sort of transition, some sort of life transition.
Yeah.
And it does. Yeah. I mean, people do find that healing in adventure.
And just something to do. You're retired. You've got a life change. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Well, this is something that's easy to get into. And there's all these people around to work with you and talk you out of, not out of it, just bringing you along. It's a fun sport, and that's what it is. It's a sport.
Yeah, it is. So, Steve, I'm just kind of looking at this whole thing, like from the time that you first got this idea to buy a Casita to bringing us forward to today, this sort of whole experience that's sort of come full circle. Like, what sort of changes have you seen in yourself over this whole experience?
I've changed from a homebody. When I say homebody, taking care of the house.
Uh-huh.
I traveled too, but I repaired houses. I mowed the lawn, and now I live in a townhouse where I walk out the door and lock it. Don't have anything to hold me back, and I hit the road whenever I want. Man, in 2 years, I put 40,000 miles on that trailer.
Wow. There's a freedom in that.
Oh, it is. Just being able to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I've always had a wife balancing out my crazy impulses with, logic. Now I don't have that. So I can just zip out anytime I want.
Yeah. Yeah. No fear.
No fear.
I love
No
it.
fear. That's the problem. For
So
better or worse.
if somebody's thinking about like they well, first of all, we'll put some pictures that you sent me of your
Yeah, I'd
casino.
like to have those shown somehow.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. We'll put those on the show notes for people so they can see some of your specific adventures and get to know the Casita a little bit. Of course, you can go to their website, but how does somebody kind of get started in this world? If I wanna jump in, and can anybody do this? Do you have to have any sort of specific knowledge? Like what are your tips for somebody that wants to get a Casita?
I tell you, it's amazing to me how green people are that are buying these trailers. They know nothing about them, and they're buying them. And that's why we've started having these orientation classes. Uh, my suggestion is to tie up with a group of people that have one, or at least somebody to show you the ins and outs of how it works, how you connect it to your truck or your trailer. It's not hard by any means. It's just there's a lot to know.
Yeah.
And best just to get involved with a group that does it. Go online. There's so much information online. YouTube, you can find out how to do anything. You can learn anything about anything. There's thousands of videos on casitas, and how to fix them, how to maintain them, how to drive them, how to back them, how to modify them.
Well, and it's great. I mean, Carolina Casita's Facebook page is a great place, right? So if you, maybe just go, if you're thinking about doing it, you just go do it and know that there are groups out there that
just come on out and talk to us. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be interested in you just kind of sharing some of that, because sometimes people are like, well, I'm not part of that group. I don't want to interview. I'm just curious, like
oh God, we're totally
open. The welcoming nature of your
group. I mean, our group, the only requirement that really I want is that they got to be regional. I don't want people from Texas joining our group. Right. They're not going to participate. What's the point? Participation is what we're all about.
Right.
Either posting what you're going to do or where you've been, or going out on gatherings with us, get-togethers. So just come apply. We'll accept you and teach you how to use it. It's great. We'll find one for you. We'll teach you how to use it, and we'll take you along with us as we go camping. That's the way to get started.
There you go. You're just like leading the horse to water right there.
Well, that's what this whole group is about.
Yeah.
Helping people get involved with their casitas.
I love it. And if you are in Texas or California or somewhere else, there's probably a similar type of group where you are, right?
So, well, there are some, but it's interesting. I've talked to people that are out there and they're asking these questions. I said, well, don't you have a regional group? Find someone around that can teach you. And they're complaining they can't find that. It's not everywhere that has these groups. We were just lucky, I guess, to set this one up.
I'm feeling expansion opportunities for you.
Yeah, that's right. Franchise this baby.
There you go. This is cool. Well, listen, I mean, just in terms of adventure in general, again, you said you don't know fear. I think a lot of people do, right? And when it comes to adventure, I think we all feel this call to adventure. We all feel this sort of desire to be able to do something like what you've done and to be able to just get in a trailer and take off for a month. But what advice do you have for people listening that have felt that call to adventure, but have maybe experienced resistance keeping them from like taking action and getting after it?
Today's the best day to do it.
Today is the best day to do it.
Today's the best day to do it. You can plan and plan and plan until the cows come in. I have a friend who's just an impulsive planner and never goes anywhere because it's just too much to do.
Yeah.
I'm not a planner. There's got to be a nice medium in between, but I'll just jump in and go.
I love it. No, that's great.
But the suggestion is don't underestimate yourself. That's the thing. With a little bit of basic understanding, it opens a world of opportunities.
And there's help out there. And
Let's help out there.
that's what you guys
Just
have
do it.
provided.
Exactly. That's what I look at it as, an enabler. The Carolina Casita is an enabler, a facilitator to those with trailers that want to use them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And this group is really just getting started. I see big things for this group, and I'm super excited for you guys.
Well, what are you doing this Thursday? You want to come on down to South Carolina and join us?
I gotta go get me a casita first, but I mean, I'm intrigued. I love it. I think it looks so cool. And
well, next time I keep mine up in the mountains because I'm in downtown Charlotte and there's just no place to keep it.
oh yeah, nice. Okay.
My daughter has a farm up in Sparta area.
Okay.
So next time I bring it down to the Charlotte area, I'll invite you to come see it.
Oh, perfect. Now you're talking my language. I love it. Well, too, this story, all of your world travels and your trips in the casita and now creating this community. I mean, this is just an epic life. And I know that at some point Hollywood is going to want to make a movie about you.
Oh, of course.
And I want to know, Steve, when they do, who's going to be the actor that's going to play you in your movie?
Well, you had let me know in advance. So I had some time to think about this one. And the only guy I can think of would be Anthony Bourdain.
Oh, nice. Okay. I love it. Anthony Bourdain is going to play Steve Paynter. I love it. And what's your movie going to be called?
Well, Tinkerer and Traveler.
Nice.
And Traveler. I see, when I'm not traveling, I'm modifying it. I'm playing with it. I'm adding this, changing that, enhancing this, always working on it. Just tinkering.
The Tinkerer and the Traveler, starring Anthony Bourdain. I'm telling you.
What do you think? It's got to be a hit.
That sounds like a great movie. Well, Steve, I appreciate it so much. And for those listening,
thank you.
Yeah, for those listening, I hope you've been inspired today as much as I have. I hope that Steve's story has encouraged you to listen to the voice inside that calls you to adventure, because we want to hear your story next. If you have a story to tell or you need a nudge to create one, please send me an email. We'd also appreciate it if you'd help us spread the word by leaving a review and sharing or tagging Inspire Campfire in your social media. And until next time, I want to encourage you to get outside. Thank you so much for listening. Steve, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Scott. I've enjoyed it. Thank you very much.